What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Panthers Advice. Finally doing back-to-back videos. So today is going to be interesting, though, because obviously we're going to talk about Bryce Young, all right? Couple things to point out first. As most of you guys know, big Bryce Young guy, right? But I said it, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'm open for a QB competition next year. And for a couple reasons, right? One, Bryce Young isn't playing to the standard that you'd hope he played for, right? As a franchise quarterback. Two, I think competition brings out the best in people. I think when Legette thought his spot might get taken, he played better, right? Coker started coming back. I think Chuba might play better now than he did before because Rico, was in that number one spot. So I think having somebody behind Bryce Young or in front of him can only make him better. And I honestly think that might be the reason for his inconsistency. I think there's more than just that, right? But not having anybody behind him who could potentially take his job, right? You saw what Andy Dalton did against the Bills. Yeah, Bryce Young's not worried about him. They got rid of Hendon Hooker. I mean, maybe Mike White, maybe, but I mean, let's be realistic. I don't think that's that much of a threat. So if you get somebody in the draft, maybe a third, fourth rounder, and Bryce Young continues to play inconsistent, then I think, you might have to give them a shot. On top of that, Dave Canales is going to have to play these guys in preseason, right? We're going to get to the film in a second, but just stay with me because we have to clarify some things. We have to play the guys in the preseason, right? This whole scrimmage, this whole training camp thing, joint practice, we're done with that. We got to be done with that, right? Because time and time again, you're seeing, it's not it. And before we get to breaking down the offense, right, and Rico Dowdle kind of struggling against the Saints, I'm not completely shocked by it, right? Because I did film breakdown talking about Rico versus Chuba. Rico's better, right? But his two biggest runs came on a toss play, right, where the defense bit inside and the offense, they had three guys basically as a lead blocker, and the one were inside where I think Mays or Corbett held. That was Rico's biggest run. So then the question becomes, how good is the offensive line, right, if the defense doesn't bite or the offense doesn't hold, right? If those were his two biggest runs and Chuba didn't do a lot either, yeah, it makes you wonder, right? And today or yesterday against the Saints, you saw kind of where this offense is. And while Bryce Young played inconsistent, you're going to see some stuff with the receivers too, the play calling. So all I'm saying is keep an open head. I think the running back position we have is good, right? Rico's definitely a lead back. But after that, from Legette to T-Mac, Coker, we'll talk about him, to Bryce Young, and the offensive line, we got some stuff to go over, man. Let's get into this thing. So obviously in today's film session, we're going to look at Bryce Young, the passing plays. We're going to look at it all the way up until he throws the interception going for Tet Mcmillan. The only play I took out, I think, was a swatted pass because it was like a random third down on the second drive. So I just took it off. I wanted to stay kind of in a zone. So first drive, let's take a look at what the Panthers do. They always have consistency on their first drive. Why? Because that's the first 10 to 15 they draw up. Now, let's talk about that real quick before we see the screen right here. So if they have consistency in the first 10 to 15 plays, right, and then after that, they're not consistent, what does that tell you? Well, one, that tells me the play calls, they're not it. And two, it could be a practice thing, right, where Bryce Young and the receivers aren't on the same page. I think there's so much blame to go around because the first two drives, all right, you see them do good. And then after that, it's consistently bad across the board, but let's keep it going. So we're on the second play right here. All right, screen. Not a bad play right here. They're going to try and dump it off to Sanders right there. Ideally, I think they want Mitchell right here to take that inside linebacker right there, and then Sanders would be open. Unfortunately, you're going to see the Saints, all right, get away with a little contact right there. All right, not sure how that's not called. All right, but it is what it is. All right, so first drive, some positives, some negatives right here. It's 2nd and 10 on the 43. Bryce Young, bang, hits T-Mac right there on that deep out. All right, right here, a little play action. All the time in the world. Okay. This is what we have to talk about right here. This is when I was like, okay, we have a problem. And what's the problem, Panthers Advice? What's the problem? So we see cover 3 look right here, right? Cover 3, clear as day, all right? 3 over the top, 4 underneath. Bryce Young is waiting for XL to do something. Now, you could blame XL for basically stopping on this route, right? It looks like Bryce Young's looking at him and XL's stopping. Second read would be T-Mac underneath. That's not going to be open. Third read would be open, though. But unfortunately, he waits so long for XL to get open, right? Run that back real quick. He waits so long for XL to get open. By the time he's ready to progress to his third read, which is going to be Coker right here, he's going to be wide open, right? Because they're drawn over here. It's too late because now there's pressure, right? Now, who's to blame here? Who's to blame? It could be Bryce Young, right? And I think some blame does go to him, but it could be Canales trying to force to get the ball deep, right? I don't know what happens in these practice sessions, but we have heard Dave Canales say, we're trying to get the ball to XL. We're trying to do this. I don't know how much of it is involved every play, but it makes me wonder what is going on. Let's keep this thing going. Next play we're going to look at right here. All right, Bryce Young in the pistol. Dropping back, looking. That ball gets swatted. The Saints got a lot of swatted balls, something we haven't seen really this season from Bryce Young in the offense. And then right here, dumps it off to Rico right there. Nice little shimmy, and then bang, lowers the shoulder. Panthers go up 7-0, right? Rico runs that thing in. First drive, like I said, was good. All right, then we jump to the second quarter right here. So you're going to see they run the fake right there. Bang, gets the defense to come up. Bryce Young's going to go for the flag right here. All right, he's going to go for the flag. He's going to go for T-Mac right there. I go back and forth on this. It seems like T-Mac isn't getting a ton of calls, to be honest with you. And it seems like J.C. Horn is getting calls playing just as physical. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I don't hate the throw, considering Icky's going to get beat right here. All right, Bryce Young's got pressure on his backside. Actual backside right there. If he had a little bit more time, probably could have hit Coker. Coker to me has the most route separation out of everybody on this team. And it's not close. It's really not close. Coker's got to get involved more. He took off last year. I guess there was some, back and forth about his hamstring. That's why he was hurt. And they made sure he was doing it in the training camp or something. Most route separation by far, and it's not close. He's got to get involved in the offense more. Let's keep it going, right? So Bryce Young goes for the flag right there. Doesn't get it. 3rd and 9 right here. 3-by-1 set. Saints in the house. And you're going to see, man, they just get pressure. Corbett, man, right? Run it back. Let's look what happens. Top of the drop right here. I mean, yeah, Bryce Young has nowhere to go. He's got nowhere to go on 3rd and 9. That's played right there. You could try this, maybe, but that's, I don't know. That's picked up right there. That's bagged right there. Nowhere for him to go, right? Loses yards right there. All right, let's keep it going. Next drive we look at right here. Second quarter, 9 minutes left. We go underneath once again. Haven't really seen them try and stretch the ball a lot. And honestly, the line fell apart after the first quarter. After the first quarter, the line struggled. So it was quick throws, and then T-Mac right here. I'm not going to lie, on this channel, we've been pretty gracious with T-Mac and some of these drops. But right here, to me, it looks like he doesn't want to get hit, right? And you saw this against, I'm drawing a blank, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, where he was running a drag route across the middle, didn't want to get hit off his hands, and it got picked off, right? So T-Mac, you're seeing, man, he's not trying to get hit. We've been pretty gracious to him, but at this point, man, we got to call out everybody right here, right? It should have been a first down. Is the throw a little bit above him? Yes. But you've seen T-Mac make much harder catches than those before. And it's not even close. But you see, he's trying to grab the thing in, pull it in without getting hit, right? So, like I said, Bryce Young, definitely at fault. But there's so much blame to go around everywhere. And then right here, Icky just allows Cameron Jordan to come in. Yesterday in the post-game conference, I said something about Cameron Jordan's going to get his. He didn't even really do anything. I mean, he does a nice little swim move right there. But if you watch Icky, he's expecting help. He's actually expecting Rico right here to be underneath, right? Take a look what happens. Cam does a swim move, right? And look at Icky. He's picking that up. He's expecting Rico to be here. This is why I say the coaching is at fault here. How does this happen? Right? How does this happen? It doesn't make sense. So right there, it was 2nd and 9, right? So now you're backed up. It's 3rd and forever, right? So not a lot you can do right there. 21 seconds left till half. I mean, Panthers trying it a little something right there. Let's keep it going, though, because, they really don't get anything. 14 seconds left. Then we jump to the 3rd quarter. Still down by 3. Right? This is why I said props to the defense, because the offense could not move the ball. Now we're going to put Bryce Young under center. Play action. To me, Bryce Young has to be quicker on these throws right here. And it's something I've said. Now, it's not easy. This is kind of one of those things where hindsight's 20/20. But to me, it's like he's waiting for Legette once again. Even though you see the DB, all right, dropping back, he's like, oh, Legette's not going to be open. I'm going to just chuck it down right there to T-Mac, right? And so now T-Mac has to make a crazy catch like this. Let's keep it going. All right, right here, it's 2nd and 9. 3-by-1 once again. I don't know why they stopped doing this right here. Just quick outs. Saints really weren't pressing, right? They're playing 8-9 yards off, essentially a Vero's defense, right? Tremble has separation right there. Coker has separation once again. Why did they go away from that, right? 3rd and 3 right here. Was this similar to the one before? Yes, it was. Quick out once again. I don't know why they went away from it, right? 3rd and 3, bang. Bang the outside. All right, let's keep it going. 2nd and 7 right here. Bryce Young under center once again. Play action. All right. Gets pressure right there. Bang. Finally, a deep throw. Finally, a deep throw. Why? Because Saints in that cover 3 look. All right. Bang. Take these two guys deep. Bryce Young. Bada bing. Bada boom. All right. T-Mac wide open in the middle of the field. 1st and 10 right here. Motion Legette, play action once again. All right, Bryce Young under center. We got blockers. We got blockers right here with Rico. And unfortunately, Lewis doesn't hold the block right there, and nothing happens. This might have been 6. This might have been 6 right here, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, nothing happens right here. 3rd and 7. Bryce Young's dropping back. Tries to go for Legette. And I don't know who you blame here. It looks like Legette once again kind of slowed down. But Bryce Young, he gets pressured right there. All right, pressure up the middle. I still think you go for Coker right here. But I think Dave Canales has him, looking for Legette. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Dave Canales. But after Dave Canales said that he wants to get Legette involved more, right, it makes me wonder. You've got Coker right in front of you. Go to Coker. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know why Coker's not being used more. I don't get it. Let's keep it going. All right, Panthers would go on to kick a field goal. It would get blocked, but then they got it back. All right, right here. Was this our empty set? Finally, in the 3rd quarter, 6 minutes left, they go empty. All right, they go empty right here. Bryce Young, all the time in the world. All right, just check it underneath. Right, check it underneath. Okay. Unfortunately, they would then go on to fumble it, on Jimmy Horn jet sweep because, that's all Jimmy Horn's good for, right? Not stretching the field vertically, nothing else, just jet sweeps. All right, I don't know why you drafted him then, to be honest with you. If that was the only reason was for jet sweeps, I'm confused. And then it took you till week 7 to deploy him, man. Let's talk about all this, shall we? So final thoughts of this, man. I don't know where to look at and place really blame. Yes, Bryce Young's not playing consistent. Maybe it's because he's not worried about his job being taken. I think it was the QB school guy who said it. A lot of starting quarterbacks want, their friends, quote unquote, as backups, right? That way they don't have to worry about their starting job being taken. And it makes me wonder, right? Is that impacting Bryce's play at all, right? The other thing is the coaching in general, like the icky block. I'm like, the fact he didn't think he did anything wrong, then Dave really never going back to 5 wide. I'm a little confused. Then you got Corbett trying to play center, left guard, right guard. I don't understand that, to be honest with you, especially playing that right side. That's been the dominant side. I mean, we got to make this make sense, right? In the run game, it's not adding up. And I've been saying this. Yes, Rico's been that guy. But once teams stack the box, what are the Panthers going to do? Right? You got Bryce Young waiting for Legette to do something. You got T-Mac, giving you a drop or two every game. And you got Coker really not involved. You got Jimmy Horn not involved. The Panthers have some question marks. They have the talent, but the play calling, Bryce Young's inconsistency, drops, the line, it's rough right now. I think it can get better. I do. But right now it's rough. So with that being said, that's going to wrap it up. Panthers Advice is out. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.